By 2025, artificial intelligent ChatGPT processes 2.5 billion requests per day, nearly 1 trillion per year. IBM quantum computers solve in seconds tasks that would take regular machines millennia. But there's one ancient text that stumps even the most advanced algorithms. When Google Translate tries to translate a specific phrase from Revelation 11 about two witnesses, the system throws an error. Not because the language is complex, because the technologies described officially didn't exist 2,000 years ago. Throughout human history, 117 billion people have died. That's 15 times more than Earth's entire population today. Death, the only guarantee in life. You can avoid taxes, but you can't escape death. Statistics are relentless. 100% of people die. Or do they? Because, according to ancient texts, two people hacked the system. Elijah and Enoch. They didn't die at all. They were taken alive from planet Earth. One disappeared in a fiery chariot 2,900 years ago. The other God took even earlier, 5,000 years ago. And here's the insane part. They're coming back. At the most critical moment in history, the book of Revelation describes two witnesses with power to strike the earth with any plague, turn water to blood, call fire from heaven. When they're killed, those who dwell on the earth will rejoice and celebrate and send gifts to one another. Revelation 11:10. Imagine a global death celebration. Amazon will deliver gifts celebrating the murder of prophets, but after 3.5 days, they'll resurrect, live on air before the eyes of the entire world. John wrote this in 95 AD. How could the entire world simultaneously watch two corpses in Jerusalem? 2,000 years ago, this was impossible. But today, any event broadcasts instantly. The apostle described live broadcasting 1,900 years before television was invented. But that's just the beginning. When scientists began analyzing descriptions of these two witnesses' powers, they discovered technologies we've only mastered in the 21st century. Climate weapons, laser systems, biological warfare, all described with scientific precision in a 2,000-year-old text. Who are these two? Why were they preserved alive for millennia? And most importantly, are there signs that the time of their return is near? Let's start with the man who disappeared 2,900 years ago and still troubles quantum physics researchers. 2024, California fights record drought. The governor declares a state of emergency, economic losses, $8.8 billion. 40 million people depend on imported water. Now imagine one person stops rain for 3.5 years, not for one state, for an entire country. 850 BC, Northern Kingdom of Israel. On the throne, Ahab and his wife Jezebel, a Phoenician princess who brought the cult of Baal. Imagine, 450 pagan priests receive salaries from the state budget. It's like half of Congress worshiping Moloch in America for worshiping Abraham's God. Death penalty, genocide of prophets, state terror. And then a man appears from nowhere, Elijah the Tishbite. Nobody knows his biography, universities, recommendations. He just bursts into the palace and declares to the king's face, "As the Lord, the God of Israel, lives before whom I stand, there shall be neither dew nor rain these years except by my word." Imagine the audacity. One man against the entire state machine declares climate blockade. And you know what? Rain actually stopped. For 1,260 days, 3.5 years. Modern meteorologists call this impossible. Climate can't just switch off at someone's will. But archaeologists found confirmation. Ice cores from Greenland show anomalous drought in the Levant region precisely in the 9th century BC. Elijah didn't just talk. He controlled weather with the precision of modern climate installations. Climax on Mount Carmel. Elijah against 450 priests of Baal. Conditions. Whichever God sends fire from heaven is real. Priests pray from morning till evening. Dance. Cut themselves with knives till blood flows. Complete silence. Elijah even trolls them. Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is meditating, or he is busy, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he is sleeping and must be awakened. In the original, it's even harsher. Literally, maybe he's in the bathroom. Then Elijah orders the altar to be doused with water. 12 jars in the middle of drought. It's like pouring out a swimming pool in Death Valley. One prayer, and fire from heaven devours not only the sacrifice, but the stones of the altar. Archaeologists found on Mount Carmel remains of an ancient altar with melted stones. Limestone melting temperature, 825 degrees Celsius. An ordinary fire gives maximum 600 degrees Celsius. What was this? Controlled lightning? Plasma discharge? But here's what's important. Elijah wasn't a Marvel superhero. After victory, Jezebel swore to kill him within 24 hours. And this man, who just called fire from heaven, panics and flees to the desert, begging God for death. It is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers. Depression, burnout, panic attacks. Elijah was an ordinary man with all our weaknesses, just with access to Star Wars level technology. God appears to Elijah not in hurricane, not in earthquake, not in fire, but in a gentle whisper, literally in a whisper. Sometimes the most powerful technologies work invisibly. God gives Elijah a new assignment: find successor Elisha. But the finale of Elijah's story is unique in all human history. The first documented case of human teleportation. February 6, 2018. SpaceX launches Falcon Heavy, the most powerful rocket of our time. Elon Musk sends a Tesla Roadster into space. The whole world watches live broadcast of the first personal spacecraft. Now, open 2 Kings, chapter 2. 2,850 years ago, Elijah performs the first human flight in history, without rocket fuel, without a spacesuit, without NASA mission control. Elijah's last day on earth. He knows it and tries 3 times to send Elisha away. Stay here, he says. 3 times Elisha refuses. 50 prophet students follow them at a distance. Everyone senses something incredible will happen today. Elijah rolls up his cloak and strikes the water of the Jordan River. The river parts. They cross on dry ground. Witnesses describe instantaneous separation and equally instantaneous closing. It's like someone turned on an anti-gravitational field for water molecules. Elisha requests, "Please let there be a double portion of your spirit on me." In ancient Hebrew, spirit also means energy, power, technology. Elisha requests a double portion of technological access. Elijah responds, "You have asked a hard thing, yet if you see me as I am being taken from you, it shall be so for you." Strange condition to see the teleportation process. And as they still went on and talked, behold, chariots of fire and horses of fire separated the two of them, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. In ancient Hebrew, fiery chariot, rekev esh. Rekev, any vehicle. Esh, fire, radiance, plasma. The ancients had no words for jet engines, so they used available terms. Just as Native Americans called trains iron horses, ancient Hebrews described a spacecraft as a fiery chariot. Plasma engines, ion propulsion. All this would look like fire to Bronze Age people. In 2022, Chinese scientists set a quantum teleportation record, 1,200 kilometers. Information instantly transmitted from satellite to Earth. Elijah disappeared before witnesses' eyes and instantly moved to an unknown location. The only difference is that modern science teleports information, while 2,850 years ago, they teleported an entire human. 50 witnesses saw what happened. They searched for Elijah 3 days in mountains and valleys, thinking he was thrown somewhere. Imagine, 50 people see a man disappear in light, and they organize search parties. This isn't one fanatic's hallucination. This is mass testimony with multiple independent sources. Elisha picks up Elijah's fallen cloak, returns to the Jordan, strikes the water with the same cloak, saying, "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" The river parts again. The cloak works like a technological device. In modern fiction, this would be called technology transfer or quantum access inheritance. But Elijah wasn't first. 2,000 years before him, lived a man whose story is even more mysterious. Enoch disappeared without fiery chariots, without witnesses, without traces. He simply stopped existing on Earth. 2024. The James Webb Space Telescope transmits to Earth images of galaxies 13.5 billion years old. Humanity slowly studies the universe's structure, having spent hundreds of billions of dollars and decades of research. Now, open the book of Enoch. 5,000 years ago, one man received complete cosmic education in a few days. Free. Enoch, seventh generation from Adam, Noah's great-great-grandfather. He lived in a world we cannot imagine. People lived 900 years, as if George Washington were still alive. In this strange world, Enoch stood out for one thing. Enoch walked with God. Enoch lived exactly 365 years. Notice the coincidence? 365 days in a year. In a world where average lifespan exceeded 900 years, Enoch died in infancy. But he didn't die. And he was not, for God took him. In ancient Hebrew, lakach oto Elohim, literally, God took him. Complete planetary evacuation. The book of Enoch, found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, reads like an astronaut's report. Enoch travels through 7 heavens, sees storehouses of snow and hail, cosmic ice bodies, the place where winds are born, atmospheric currents, heavenly luminaries in their chariots, planetary orbits. Most astounding, Enoch describes a 364-day solar calendar with mathematical precision. He knew about Earth's axial precession, a phenomenon officially discovered by Hipparchus in 150 BC, 3,000 years later. Enoch describes planetary movement, lunar phases, solar eclipses with modern astronomical precision. Where did a Bronze Age man get such knowledge? The book of Enoch describes how he was shown heavenly tablets with all knowledge of the universe. The modern term for this, information download. Enoch received access to a cosmic database. And the Lord gave me knowledge of all the secrets of heaven and earth, of all human thoughts, and of all languages of praise. This description looks like connection to a quantum internet of the future. And 2 men took me and carried me on their wings to the first heaven. Wings in ancient Hebrew can mean any flight surfaces. And they showed me the earth from above, and it was like a small hill. Enoch saw Earth from above, 5,000 years before the first airplane. Description of planetary curvature, atmosphere, cosmic space, all with the accuracy of Apollo astronaut reports. So we have 2 people who disappeared from Earth at different times, but in the same way, alive. Why were they preserved? What mission awaits them in the future? The answer comes from the last prophet of the Old Testament. Book of Malachi, chapter 4, the last words of the Old Testament. After them, 400 years of silence until Christ's birth. What's in God's final message to the ancient world? Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. A concrete promise, not someone similar, not symbolically. Specifically, Elijah. 2,700 years Jews at every Passover leave an empty place at the table. Pour a full cup of wine. Open the door. Wait for Elijah. A tradition that survived the fall of kingdoms, exiles, the Holocaust, Israel's creation. It's like Americans setting a place for George Washington every 4th of July, expecting his return. But Jews do this for millennia. When John the Baptist appeared, everyone thought Elijah returned. Camel hair clothing like Elijah. Desert life like Elijah. Confronting authority like Elijah. Even Jesus said, he is Elijah who is to come. But paradox, when priests asked John himself, are you Elijah? He answered, I am not. How to understand the contradiction? The solution at the Mount of Transfiguration. Elijah personally appears and talks with Jesus. Peter, James, and John see this. Elijah is alive. He didn't reincarnate as John. He exists in a transfigured body somewhere in the universe. John came in the spirit and power of Elijah, was a forerunner, rehearsal before the main event. Biblical prophecies often work like a trailer and full-length movie. John, trailer before Christ's first coming. The real Elijah, full movie before the second coming. And signs are approaching. Elijah's power to stop rain seemed strange 2,000 years ago. But today, California fights for every drop. China builds dams, draining neighboring countries' rivers. Water wars have already begun. If someone gains power to control the planet's climate, he'll become the most powerful person in history. This is exactly the power Elijah possessed. But Elijah won't return alone. Malachi's prophecy speaks of one person, but the book of Revelation describes two witnesses. Who's the second? And what incredible powers will they possess? John received a vision that reads like a sci-fi blockbuster script. 95 A to D, island of Patmos in the Aegean Sea. Apostle John, in Roman exile, receives a vision of the future. Revelation 11, possibly the most technologically saturated chapter in the Bible. And I will grant authority to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. 1,260 days, exactly 42 months or 3.5 years. Precisely how long Elijah stopped rain. Mathematical precision is astounding. In the book of Daniel, the same 1,260 days are called a time, times, and half a time. 1 year, 2 years, and half a year. In Revelation, 42 months. 3 different ways to describe one period down to the day. This isn't poetic metaphor. This is a technical specification with a deadline. Their abilities read like a Marvel Comics list. Flamethrower for mouth. If anyone would harm them, fire pours from their mouth and consumes their foes. Directed plasma energy from the oral cavity. Climate weapon. They have the power to shut the sky, that no rain may fall during the days of their prophesying. Control of the planet's meteorological systems. Biochemical impact. And they have power over the waters to turn them into blood and to strike the earth with every kind of plague as often as they desire. Molecular transformation and targeted biological warfare. Laser weapons are already reality. The U.S. Navy tests shipboard lasers with 150 kilowatt power. Israel's Iron Beam shoots down rockets with light pulses. But these are stationary installations the size of containers. The two witnesses have a portable version in human bodies. And their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city that symbolically is called Sodom and Egypt, where their Lord was crucified. Where was Jesus crucified? Jerusalem. Future Jerusalem is called spiritual Sodom and Egypt, city of debauchery and slavery. That's where the final technological drama will unfold. And for 3.5 days, some from the peoples and tribes and languages and nations will gaze at their dead bodies. How can the whole world simultaneously watch two corpses in one city? In 95 AD, this was technically impossible. Today, any event anywhere on the planet broadcasts instantly, and those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them and make merry and exchange presents, because these two prophets had been a torment to those who dwell on the earth. The only time in Revelation when humanity rejoices, global death celebration. The internet will explode with selfies against the backdrop of corpses. Social networks will declare it trending. But after the 3.5 days, a breath of life from God entered them, and they stood up on their feet, and great fear fell on those who saw them. Imagine, the whole world watches live broadcast. 2 corpses lie in the street, 3.5 days, billions of viewers online, and suddenly the dead stand up. Servers crash from overload. Resurrection of the dead live on air before humanity's eyes. Who are these two? Elijah is obvious. Prophecies directly name him. But who's the second? We have clues. Who are these two? We have clues. Clue number 1. It is appointed for man to die once, and after that comes judgment. This is a cosmic law. All people die, except 2 exceptions. Enoch and Elijah are the only ones in history who didn't taste death. Clue number 2. Enoch represents the pre-flood world. Elijah, representative of the age of kings and prophets. Together, they cover all human history, from creation to the end of time. Complete expert experience. Clue number 3. Jewish tradition directly states Enoch and Elijah will return at the end of days as witnesses against the world. Some theologians suggest Moses instead of Enoch. He was on the Mount of Transfiguration with Elijah, performed water miracles, sent plagues on Egypt. Problem: the Bible clearly says, "So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab." But Enoch and Elijah, never. Enoch and Elijah perfectly complement each other. Enoch, cosmic knowledge, astronomy, diplomat. Elijah, earthly miracles, climate weapons, warrior. Enoch, theorist, received knowledge through revelation. Elijah, practitioner, applied power in real conflicts. According to Jewish law, minimum 2 witnesses are needed for a death sentence. Only on the evidence of 2 witnesses or of 3 witnesses shall a matter be established. Enoch and Elijah, the final legally competent testimony before humanity's final judgment. Cosmic due process. Combining their technologies creates a synergistic effect. Enoch knows cosmic cycles. Elijah applies climate weapons at precise timing. Elijah calls fire. Enoch calculates trajectory with astronomical precision. Enoch predicts. Elijah executes with dramatic effects. So the team is determined. Technologies understood. Mission clear. The question remains, when? Are there signs that the time of their return is near? Spoiler, yes. And some of these signs appeared only in recent years. Revelation 11 begins with measuring the temple. Then I was given a measuring rod like a staff, and I was told, "Rise and measure the temple of God." Which temple? The third, which doesn't exist yet. But here's the shock. The Temple Institute in Jerusalem has been preparing for construction for 40 years. Golden sacred vessels, manufactured high priestly garments, sewn according to biblical descriptions, red heifers for purification. Everything is ready for temple construction. They're only waiting for the political moment. The temple can be built in 3 to 6 months. For the first time in history, instant global broadcast of any event is possible. Satellite internet covers the entire planet, high-resolution cameras in every smartphone. What John described 2,000 years ago, all nations will watch, is our everyday reality today. The world never celebrated prophets' deaths before. Even enemies respected holy people. But today, try speaking biblical truth. Blocks for hate speech. Algorithms suppress religious content. The world is ready to celebrate the death of those who speak inconvenient truth, exactly as predicted in Revelation 11:10. The power to stop rain seemed strange 2,000 years ago. Today, California, record drought, economic losses, $8.8 billion per year. China, building dams that drain neighboring countries' rivers. If someone gains power to control global climate, they'll become master of the planet. Not only Christians are waiting, all world religions sense the climax. Jews await the Messiah and Elijah before him. Muslims believe in the return of Isa, Jesus. At the end of times, even secular futurologists speak of singularity point, the moment when technology will fundamentally change humanity. Everything converges. Technology's matured, prophecies activating. The world prepares for the 2 witnesses' appearance. But here's the question. What does this mean personally for you? Okay, you'll say. Suppose 2 ancient prophets really will return with superpowers. So what? I have my own life, my own plans. What do I care about cosmic prophets? Huge deal, because the 2 witnesses' appearance is a countdown timer. 1,260 days until history's finale. 3.5 years to choose a side. It's like a tsunami early warning system. Sirens wail, all screens show, evacuate now. You have 20 minutes before the wave hits. You can ignore it at your own risk. You can evacuate and be saved. The 2 witnesses, humanity's siren, final warning before the ultimate wave. When they appear, forget political parties. The world will divide into 2 groups, those who accept their message and prepare for transition, those who will celebrate their death. and find themselves unprepared for the return. There will be no neutral territory. But you know what? You don't need to wait for super prophets to start preparing. Elijah was an ordinary guy from the countryside. Enoch simply walked with God. No superpowers from birth. They gained access to cosmic technologies because they chose to stand for truth when the whole world was against them. And then God gave them power. Today, we need people ready to stand for truth. In family, when all relatives give in to panic. At work, when corporations demand compromises with conscience. In society, when media impose false narratives. Practical preparation for end times, spiritual, studying ancient texts, prayer, repentance, informational, critical thinking, source verification, social, building like-minded communities, family support. Prophecy says Elijah will turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the hearts of children to their fathers. This is about restoring broken relationships before the end. Maybe you shouldn't wait for the end of the world to call your father, ask forgiveness from your children, make peace with your brother. The story of Elijah and Enoch didn't end with their disappearance. They're somewhere preparing for the final mission, possibly receiving final instructions right now. And you're receiving your instructions right now. The question, are you ready to carry them out? Let's put all puzzle pieces together. 2 people disappeared from earth alive. Enoch, 5,000 years ago. Elijah, 2,900 years ago. Ancient prophecies promise Elijah's return before the day of the Lord. Revelation describes 2 witnesses with technologies we've only mastered in the 21st century. All technological prerequisites have matured. The third temple is ready for construction. The world is ready to celebrate prophets' deaths. Time signs are flashing red. But the most important thing in this story, not superpowers, not technologies, not even global resurrection broadcast. Most important, the choice of ordinary people to stand for truth when the whole world laughs. Elijah alone against 450 priests of Baal, alone against the entire state machine, alone against public opinion, and he won because he wasn't alone. God was with him. Today, we need modern Elijahs in science, scientists ready to speak truth despite political correctness. In medicine, doctors putting patient health above corporate interests. In media, journalists seeking truth, not sensations. You have a choice. You can laugh at religious fanatics and switch to something else. You can brush it off. What will people think up next? Or you can stop and think, what if this is true? What if ancient texts contain not myths, but technical documentation? What if prophecies are not poetry, but forecasts? 3 challenges from this story. First, study ancient texts as technical manuals. Perhaps solutions to modern problems are hidden there. Second, develop critical thinking. Don't blindly trust either skeptics or enthusiasts. Check facts, seek primary sources, think for yourself. Third, start building your character like Elijah and Enoch. Honesty in small things, courage in principled matters, readiness to stand for truth. Somewhere in the universe, 2 people prepare for the final mission. Elijah and Enoch, living witnesses who survived millennia. They saw the rise and fall of empires, invention of technologies that seemed familiar to them. They waited for their hour, and that hour approaches. Share this video, not for the algorithm. Share because somewhere right now, an engineer is trying to solve a problem whose answer is written in a forgotten prophecy. Somewhere, a scientist is puzzling over a mystery that the ancients solved thousands of years ago. Somewhere, a person is on the brink of despair and needs a reminder. History isn't finished. The finale is yet ahead, and there's a place for everyone in it. Somewhere in space, 2 ancient prophets receive final instructions. Soon, they'll return to the planet they left millennia ago. The world changed beyond recognition, but human hearts remain the same. And perhaps, just perhaps, they're looking for people ready to stand beside them when the time comes to tell the world the final truth. Are you ready to be among them?